In-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Big win for East Carolina inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium on Saturday. Fans storm the field after a 31-27 victory over the Memphis Tigers. Been a long time since we've seen that. Been a long time since we felt the energy like it was in Dowdy-Ficklen. ECU keeps pace with the top of the American 31-27 victory over Memphis. We'll get into all that and a whole lot more. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X as well, as we had to rush over. We just finished one of the longer press conferences of the year, and so we're kind of in scramble mode a little bit, but we are taking your questions, comments, concerns on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of interaction throughout the show. What a day, what a night inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. The weather was perfect. Tremendous football game, really, from start to finish. I thought it was one of the better played games we've seen in Dowdy-Ficklen, and I said after the game, oftentimes when we see that, at least in recent years, we haven't exactly seen ECU come up on the right side of that, and we saw ECU do that on Saturday. So, man, what a huge win. Lots to get into over the course of the next hour. Philip Pilkington producing. We also have intern Isaiah hanging out as well. Philip, what a week. What a weekend.
It was a heck of a weekend. I think both of your teams this week won their games, about 18-11. You had to play the opponent. You had to play the Zebras. Not a lot of holding calls called, but overall, great weekend and an amazing weekend for you, Stephen Igo. To see that, to be there in person for what a monumental win for East Carolina, and then to see your boys, knock off Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs.
We're going to say the Chiefs slander for Wednesday with Macy O'Donnell.
There we go.
I guess he technically joins us Thursday. We'll talk to him Wednesday. I got plenty to say. Shout out Jaquan McMillan. Player of the game, game ball in the post game. What a performance for him. Pirate alumni doing big things for the Broncos. But Pirates get it done close to home here. I mean, there's so many directions we could take this conversation. ECU still alive for a conference championship. ECU getting buzz about making the college football playoff. We can get into those scenarios throughout the week. It just sets up such a big week of content. And look, this is a challenging game this weekend at UTSA for reasons we talked about all along. UTSA is a home juggernaut. So we got a busy week of coverage ahead of us. I felt like ECU was going to be ready for the moment. I know we had talked last week, Philip, about Memphis, really good team. I thought if Brendan Lewis played the whole game and played it healthy, ECU would have their work cut out for him. And I mean, for the most part, he was limping at times, but I thought you saw a pretty effective Brendan Lewis. You saw why Memphis's roster is one of the best in the conference. And I just felt like if ECU had a chance to win the game, they were going to come through. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that I still felt confident after Caden Hauser fumbled the football with, 4:14 on the clock at the own 24-yard line. But I still felt like if the defense could hold them and get the ball back, ECU as a team felt as confident as I had seen going into a game like this all year, and we can get into the impact these students made as well with the tarps off situation. But the Pirates rose to the moment for the first time in years in the biggest home November conference game in years, and credit to Caden Hauser, credit to Blake Harrell, credit to these players for believing in the process and for getting to this point.
No, you're right, Stephen. Look, I think you got as good of a Brendan Lewis as you're going to get. He didn't run there till the beginning of the third quarter, but he stuck his foot in the ground. He got up the field, and I think he was effective throwing the football. He may have been in pain, but I don't think it affected really his performance in any way. So I think you got the best version of the Memphis Tigers. That was two heavyweights in this conference, a heavyweight bout, and East Carolina did a good job coming out on top. And like you said, it's a credit to the mindset of the players. It's a credit to this coaching staff. And I'll even take it a step farther and say, too, when it's a credit to the parents of these young men who, started instilling that in them at a young age. We have a mentally tough group. It's one thing to be physically tough. It's another thing to be mentally tough. And then we'll get into it here in a second with the students and the fans and everything. That was a huge part of it as well. So really proud of the Pirate Nation for a joint win there from top to bottom. And, I'm with you. I have faith in these guys to drive down the field Payton Hauser's cool, collected, composed. When it comes to situations like that, I think every young man on that team wanted it to come down to the end. I don't really think they wanted to blow Memphis out, and we heard from Tegan Wilk earlier in the week, that he wanted to say he wanted a fully healthy Memphis team. Then we just talked to Preston Carr about it, and he was like, we wanted that moment. And I think the defense, honestly, the energy I could get from it was they were almost happy the offense scored as early as they did, because then they got to go chance to be the last guys on the field. And like when both sides of the ball want to be the ones to go out there and make the plays, and they're almost not pulling against the other side, but they're hoping the other side gets theirs done as soon as possible so that they can be on the field for the final moment. It just shows the resiliency of this team.
Talked to Tegan Wilk's dad at the Pirate Walk before the game, and he was like, I hope Brendan Lewis plays for the reasons you mentioned. Obviously, Tegan echoed that as well. I talked to Nick Mazey's dad. He hit another big kick. His incredible year continued, and I know he wishes that he had about 4 more years of eligibility to remain a Pirate. He's fired up. His family loves it here. So just so many heroes. And, look, we talked about it, too, on Friday and throughout the week. Senior day, oftentimes, of course you expect guys like J.D. Lampley, guys like Zion Wilson, who have been mainstays in the lineup this year, in Zion's case and throughout their career, like J.D.'s, to play well. But Payton Mangum, senior, 6th-year guy, nobody really knew his name unless you follow recruiting, unless you really follow the program closely. Casual fan didn't know Payton Mangum's name. Spent 5 years at South Carolina, walked on there, earned a scholarship, transferred to ECU, looking for more playing time, hasn't really gotten it. And he talked about today, awesome interview with Payton Mangum, by the way. We talked to him after the game, but today was even better, 9 minutes. And he talked about how him not playing this year is no knock on him. It's more about how good the receivers are that ECU has. But anyways, he gets his moment, and well-deserved, and he was ready, and Payton trusted him in that moment too. He only had 6 snaps offensively the entire game, Phillip. Basically, and those may have been on that last drive, because there were 6 plays on the last drive. ECU went a lot of 12 personnel after Yannick Smith went out, but when Payton Mangum was out there, they took what happened on the practice field Thursday, 2-minute drill. I wrote about this after the game. They ran the exact same play, the verticals, and Payton took that vertical on the option route against man coverage against Memphis, made a tremendous catch, and said his ears popped when he got up. He's not really the celebrating type, so he just screamed. But just an awesome moment there. And no matter what he does going forward, that catch will be remembered. Obviously, if ECU wins, competes for a conference title, will be remembered even more. But I think already he's kind of a guy that goes down in Pirate lore.
And you mentioned them putting him there at the end of the game, and it shows you that the trust that they have in him, not only in his skill set, but who he is as a football player and who he is as a human being. And, it goes back to the trust they instilled with him when they found out Kyler Pearson was not going to play. Look, there is nothing harder to do in football than to catch a freaking punt. I know people, no. The ball does not come straight down, and there are 2 guys minimum ready to earhole you. And if you glance down to even see where those guys are, you lose track of the football. Brock Spalding was completely healthy, and Brock Spalding has returned punts at the collegiate level. There are other guys on this team who've returned punts at the collegiate level. Payton Mangum has not returned a punt since high school. They put him in that situation. They needed a catch to win the football game. Yes, maybe he was, it's a 4 verticals. You don't really have a primary target. It's just kind of go with who beats their guy off the line. But he was one of the 4 young men chosen to go out there and be on the field for that play. That shows you the trust that they have in him and the belief he has in himself. Because if a young man doesn't have the belief in himself, the coaching staff are not going to believe in him either.
Pirates win it 31-27. Comment section understandably popping off. And speaking of popping off, the shirts were popping off in section 22. And, man, like Mike Wright said today that won ECU the game. He's like, I'm not even playing. That won us the game. He said, I believe in momentum. That gave us momentum. ECU got a stop and tied the game, I believe, after that. And there was some back-and-forth play. But credit to – I just want to know the guy – obviously, I know ECU didn't start the trend itself, but I want to know the guy or the group of guys who started it at ECU for this game, because I would like to get them on the air. So if you know those individuals, please let me know, and we'll get them on the air. But the Tarps Off crew, it grew and it grew and it grew. And shout out to everybody who was either in that section bringing the juice. And the best part about it was other people joined around the stadium as well, even if they didn't make it up to that section. And it kept going. They never stopped, even after the fumble by Caden Hauser, even when Memphis drove and scored. They kept going, and it energized the stadium. And I said it going into the game too. Like, it doesn't have to be 45,000, 35,000 plus. If you have fans that are diehards, that are into the game, that realize the moment, that understand the importance of the game, it can be just as loud. Just like the Houston Conference Championship game in 2009. It reminded me of that because it was loud. You could tell it on TV. I think you could tell it on the audio broadcast as well, people were saying, Philip. But it impacted the game. The crowd truly impacted the game. And according to the players and coaches itself, it changed the game.
I came on here exactly 1 week ago, probably at about this time. I was dogging the student section. I was saying this fan base was not what it had been advertised to me. Well, I challenged you, and you redeemed yourself. And the ones on the stream can see the shadow right now of our intern Isaiah pumping up the crowd right now. Look, I challenged the Pirate Nation. I think I wasn't the only one. People have gone there saying it. A lot of people on our message boards, a lot of people who are loyal listeners to the show who do stay till the end of the games, challenge the Pirate Nation to be what this fan base can be, and they were that. People didn't leave. And again, I think the key thing you said there, Stephen, was it started before the fumble. It didn't stop when the fumble happened. And that's what the problem was. We were hyped for BYU, then after the pick six, everybody quit giving a crap. Well, see what happens when you stay? Challenge was accepted. I'm proud of this fan base. I'm proud of everybody. That was a great, wonderful atmosphere. I'm proud of the Pirate Club for doing what they did with the tickets. I'm proud of Blake Harrell for doing what he did. I'm proud of Sup Dogs and
Shout
Brett.
out Sup Dogs, man. Amazing stuff.
I'm proud of this, and Mike Wright said it. Like you said, he said that won us the game, but it comes back. He tied it back into the reason he came here, because it takes a village to win, and he thinks that Greenville is a village, and a village that is all bought into winning, and they were on Saturday night.
You know, Blake Harrell uses the phrase, it takes everybody all the time. And like if you're not familiar with kind of the saying, and obviously coach speak to a degree it is, but like it truly was that on Saturday. It took everybody, and I can't give enough credit to Brett and Sup Dogs, man. What they have done for ECU athletics, obviously they benefit a lot from being right there and being near campus, but like he understands the importance and he buys into and invests in ECU athletics. I mean, just critical stuff, and I think it made a huge. I don't know, honestly, without Sup Dogs, if ECU wins that football game either. I mean, like, is that a ridiculous statement to say? I think it's factual, because how many of those students would have left and not started the second half tarps off without the potential prize and the free drink voucher? So I just can't credit them enough. And obviously the team followed through. You get a big game, big opportunity. The team has to play well too. And look, ECU didn't have many bad plays. I mean, Memphis played well. They landed some punches, as you would expect from an 8-2 football team with championship aspirations, but ECU's punches at the end of the night were that much bigger. All right, a few comments before we get a break in. Kaysen Romeli, by the way, who made it on TV in the tarps off section, he said, "Let's go Pirates." And I believe Kaysen enjoyed a night on the town, Greenville. So we'll have to get him to recap that sometimes. We need to get Kaysen back on the show maybe sometime this week. But he was in that section. He stayed till the end. Somebody wants to know, Kevin Cozart says, the people want to know, did Igo go tarps off in the press box in the second half? I probably would have been kicked out of the press box. But you know what? Maybe it would have been worth it, because I just would have went to section 22 or the boneyard and just went into the tarps off. But I did not. Did either of y'all go tarps off?
I was at the studio. No, I did not go tarps. Did you go tarps off, Isaiah? He did not. Isaiah did not. I was the studio. I was not doing tarps off.
You didn't go tarps off in the studio?
No. I should have done it. I'm not going to. Dude, it's so weird, because here's the problem. I'm watching the game on like a 3-play delay. So like I'm listening. I hear it, and then I see it. And then I'm also in charge of cutting up highlights. So I'm like sitting in the room where we cut up highlights, like watching the game on my iPad. Like you're hyped, but it's hard to like. I think it'd be a little different if I had like the live stream, like if I had the video, there was a way where they could stream it to me like via the video board, and I was like live at the time, and I was hearing it at the same time. I might have been a little more like, I mean, you're still into it, you're still in the win, but you don't feel as invested in the way of like being a part of that kind of stuff.
Well, you should have gone tarps off, because at least you wouldn't have been kicked out.
True.
Next time.
I don't think Isaac would have kicked me out.
when the Pirates host the conference championship game?
Isaac might be back here by himself for that one.
Okay.
He might figure it out. He might figure out how to cut up highlights and teleport from one room to the other. I don't know. Work that magic.
Rohan says the Memphis ECU game was absolute cinema. It really was. I mean, we got to get into the Mike Wright talk too, but we'll do that.
I think that's a whole segment.
Yeah, I mean, that's just remarkable. Punting and ending the game with a pick. All right, several more comments here. Let's go ahead and get our first break in so we don't get too far behind. We'll continue to react to your comments. A lot of them. A lot of happy Pirates. Big week ahead. Big win. And the Pirates still alive. Very much so for a conference championship. We'll get into that and a whole lot more as we continue on Hoist the Colors Reaction Monday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Monday. Man, what a evening inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Pirates defeat Memphis 31-27. And yours truly called the score exactly right. And that'll be the only time I ever do that.
You did.
Don't count on that again. I told people that if you guess the score every week for every ECU game ever, that you're bound to get one right. So I finally nailed it. And I'll gloat about it a little bit, but we'll see what I can do for UTSA. Tough game this Saturday. We'll get into that as the week moves on, but today all about the Pirates' big win over the Memphis Tigers. And we'll continue on. We'll read some comments here from the YouTube chat. Corsair says, after the mistakes and penalties at Tulane, I thought the Pirates were hopeless, but they have turned the corner playing great. Get you some Pirates. So, yeah, Pirates, I said it earlier, but to me, it was just a great football game. So like neither team really made back-breaking mistakes. Like even the fumble by Hauser, he didn't really have much of a chance. First off, it was a great defensive call by Memphis. I went back and looked at it. Like in some ways it was a protection bust, but they also ended up bringing 6. ECU only had 5 to block 6 because they went empty, so they cut the edge guy loose. I don't know if that was the right call, but either way, great call by Memphis. They get the strip. And the answer after that, I thought, John Moody, I think, brings up a fantastic point. Great clock management on the Memphis field goal drive. Blake waits to use his timeouts. They get the initial first down, and then I feel like he played exactly right because it puts some pressure on Memphis. He uses the 2 first downs after 2 consecutive runs. Put some pressure on Memphis to try to throw the ball and score a touchdown there. And I actually like their play call, and I like ECU's defense even better. They went for the little tight end, little pop pass. ECU was all over it. And another thing that maybe we don't talk about enough, but Blake Harrell, like he seems to understand clock management. The only complaint I've really seen from fans is like end of halves, and I think ECU's been pretty careful at the end of halves, but I think they've played it the right way for the most part because they're not trying to have a BYU situation happen again, and so they're running the ball at times when people want to throw it. But I think Blake Harrell was doing a fantastic job with game management, which was an unknown when he got the job, and I think all of his time playing Madden is paying off, Philip.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. No, I think that was the right way to do it. Like you said, to put the pressure on him. That's exactly how I would have done it. Obviously hindsight's 20/20, but you're not always wanting to save the timeouts when you have the football. I know people say, "Oh, it'd be nice if the offense had a timeout here." Well, usually, just think a hurry up offense. Say it takes, even if it takes 15 seconds to get on the football, you save 15 seconds by calling a timeout. When you're on defense, you save 40 seconds. So that's plus 25, and it's probably more than that a lot of times, especially in college with the clock stopping on the first down. So to use them on defense, even though knowing you were going to get the ball back, really good job there. And then, to go out there and be a little passive early in the drive, I thought, and not take too many shots. Credit to Blake and credit to JDB, and I just thought overall it was really good. And Coach Logan always talks about how he hates when defense coordinators say, "Well, you scored too early," and he goes, "Well, go out there and stop them." Well, guess what? The Pirates scored, and then the defense went out there and they stopped them.
Kenny Curlin's also with the comment of, "We were aggressive on that last drive. They took that shot at the end zone. It paid off." And I'm not a big fan, generally speaking, of saying, "Oh, the former coach, he would have never won this game." But ECU may have. Look, ECU beat Memphis in overtime twice with Mike Houston as the head coach, but I don't think they would have won it in regulation because I think Mike Houston would have most likely played for the field goal to tie the game. And look, there's risk in throwing the ball deep like that. It could get deflected, intercepted. That's the end of the game. There's also reward. We saw ECU take a shot, Payton Hauser take a shot, believe in Payton and make the catch. So, it just goes with what Blake has brought to the program. Aggressive mentality doesn't always pay off. ECU has had a lot of fourth down tries this year, not work out, but I love it, man. You get the big pass play to Anthony Smith. I want to say they ran the ball with London in the middle there to, you got a chunk, I think 5-6 yards, and then you take your shot on second and medium. So I'm just a big fan of the way Blake's running the program right now. Another good point there from Kenny, because the last thing you want to do, as good as Nick Mazey's been, I still don't want to put it on a kicker to tie the game. No offense to Nick. Like, I trust him, but you got a shot to go win it, man. Go win the game.
You do. I mean, you always got to go play to win, not just play to not to lose. And, on top of that, like, there's a handful of kickers right now in the country that are in the world that I trust in that situation, and all of those guys are in the NFL, and I still don't trust every NFL kicker to do it. So, again, not trying to take anything away from Nick, not saying I would have been, extremely nervous, but, look, he's not Adam Vinatieri. He's not Justin Tucker. He's not, Brandon Aubrey, right? So, look, anybody other than those three, who you really trust 100% of the time anyways. Maybe Jason Elam, but, I had to throw that in for Steven.
Bronco's great.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Jones Bone says, "Who would have thought a guy we saw as the lesser of the transfers turns out to be the most memorable? Payton Mangum will be remembered." Kenny Curlin says, "This game was get your money's worth kind of win. Every emotion you can have. So proud of the Pirates and the Pirate Nation." Let's hit on that, too. The storming of the field. I said this in my walk back to the car, which Conan said he tuned into a video. Like, it wasn't about beating Memphis. Memphis, great program. ECU has beaten Memphis 3 consecutive times. By the way, since hanging 70 on ECU, Memphis has lost now in 3 heartbreaking fashions. So that's kind of 3 straight heartbreaking fashion games. So interesting there. But for me, it was more cathartic of ECU, where the program has been. You haven't had a win this meaningful in so long. You haven't had an emotional win in the clutch against a good team in so long. You haven't had that type of win at home. Like, the Military Bowl was great. It was neutral field, and I think the fans came onto the field after the game, but like bowl games, that kind of happens regardless. So it's not – it was a smaller crowd. So it meant more to do it at home, and if you were there, you realize it too. If you've been watching ECU football a long time, you understand it too, because it was a return to what it used to be like for that night. So, like, all the emotion comes out of you. The students, the way they rallied the thing, they deserved to have their moment too. So it wasn't about beating Memphis. It was about the moment and ECU rising to the moment for me.
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, Kevin Newton brought it up after the game. Like, your favorite in the game. You're rushing the field. But, you mentioned the moment. And, look, this was not, and I'm not going to sit here and act like it was, the biggest win in East Carolina history. It's not. You got the Peach Bowl. You got conference championships. You got beaten Carolina at home. You got the Miami game in Raleigh. But what that meant to not lose, that may be the most important fact, that you did not lose the game in ECU history. And the reason being is because technically you can still win a national championship. In every game I just mentioned, you were not ever in contention to win a national championship. Are they going to win it? No. Are they going to make the college football playoff? Hopefully. Probably not, because I think we need too much luck.
It's a possibility, though.
Yeah, but it's a possibility. And I think it's very much a possibility you win the last 2 games. So you do all you can do, and you let the chips fall where they may. And that was the big, tough test. That was the one that was at home in front of the huge environment. And again, kind of the first, I mean, state is obviously a signature win because it's state, but something about, like you said, winning a game at home in the conference, that was like, I think that's the first true signature win for Blake Harrell. And everything that meant. And just, I think part of the reason that the rush, too, is because of the way the crowd had bought in and the shirts coming off and everything. It just kind of, it was kind of the perfect moment. And
it just led to it. Yeah. It led to that. And I'm glad, too, that the security people and then the officers on hand allowed it to happen. Obviously, if something got out of hand, they were there to take care of it. But, let the students enjoy their moment, give them a reason to come back. I kind of hate, unless ECU hosts a conference championship, and even then, the semester, will it still be going?
Yeah, it's like December the 5th is the championship game. So
at least the students would be, but it'd be after Thanksgiving break, so that would be good. But I kind of hate that there isn't another home game unless ECU hosts, because I would like ECU to capitalize on that. But it's still possible, as we said. So just glad that everybody got to experience that, and the fans and the players as well, and the recruits. I've texted so many recruits. ECU had a huge recruiting weekend. And we've put out some of those comments, but check it out, hoistthecolors.net. Ton of good feedback. And so it does so much for the program as well. All right, we got a whole lot more comments to get to. Before we get a break in, John Moody did bring up, and I saw this as well, 6-day hold for ECU FAU. So we're doing this again. What that means is they will not announce a start time or TV for the ECU's regular season finale at Florida Atlantic on November 29th. In case you missed it, the ECU UTSA game will be 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central local time on ESPN+. So they're just holding all these conference games to wait to see how it lines up for conference implications. Basically, if ECU has a chance to play for a conference title, I would expect more of a primetime TV slot. But then again, ECU and UTSA both won, and they went with Tulane and North Texas on the TV slots for this coming weekend. The Pirates are on the plus. But that's your TV news right there. ECU FAU on a 6-day hold. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue on recapping ECU's 31-27 win over Memphis.
storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Third segment here, Reaction Monday, Philip Pilkington producing. Just got news. Mr. Tarp off himself, Kason Romalia, will join us on the show tomorrow. So we'll get his first-hand perspective from Tarp's off. I don't think he started it, but he was definitely within it. All right, a couple things here. Rohan, a couple others have asked about Yannick Smith. Saw he was in a walking boot in the second half. I heard he was still wearing the protective boot at practice today. That doesn't mean he's out for Saturday. I've seen a player wear a boot up through Wednesday and play. But I'll say this. If you're a receiver and you have an ankle injury or a foot injury, I mean, with all the cutting and planning those guys do, I have a hard time seeing it. And if he does play, I have a hard time seeing him be 100%. Like, Brendan Lewis is playing with what clearly seems to be some sort of sprained ankle. He doesn't have to cut and plant at 100 miles an hour every single play. It's just when you're having to run routes, that's a tough gig. I do like the fact that ECU, we can get more into this as the week goes on, Philip, but ECU basically went primarily 12 personnel after losing Yannick. In that second half, they went Javante Connor and Desiree Riles. What that means is one back, two tight ends, two receivers. Usually it's 11 personnel, 3 receivers set in this offense. So they can do it. We saw Mangum when they went back to 11 personnel. He can play in the slot. And obviously Tyler Johnson made some plays. So they have options, but certainly you don't want Yannick Smith out because he's probably your best man 50-50 ball on the team. So I do hate potentially if he's out because I think that changes how you have to play.
Yeah, it does. And, anytime you got a guy who is that guy, that's what your true number one is, right? He's your X. Anthony's more your Z. You don't want him out either, but, he's a little bit more of your burner. And, the great thing is the trust that we have in two tight ends, in Desiree Riles and J.C. Connor, because there are so many great offenses in the history of this sport who have ran a lot of 12 personnel, who have two really great tight ends. I mean, go back to the days of Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. Go back to the, I'm sure there's other, ones I'm leaving out, but I'm thinking there's got to be somebody. You see Iowa do it with, they'll get multiple guys drafted the same year. They had Noah Fant and T.J. Hawkinson there together in Iowa, and I'm sure there's other examples. So that's great, but at the end of the day, yeah, I think you need Yannick, but Payton knows how to get the ball to whoever he's got to get the football to. And in a game like this, where UTSA is a solid football team, but I think it's going to be about putting drives together and holding on to the football and controlling the clock and controlling the field position as well. Look, man, if you got to go to Brock, you go to Brock. If you got to bring in TJ or Payton or whoever, to get a little more burn, then you go to those guys too. And both these tight ends are sure-handed big bodies, and the team's running the football better and better each week too.
You've made it through half a game, really 2.5 quarters, I guess 3 quarters without Yannick now. And now you get a whole week to prepare. So if he's unable to go, at least you have that to prepare for. And I think ECU's got enough weapons offensively to make up for it for the most part. So certainly would rather have Yannick out there. But if they don't have him, then I think you can overcome it. All right, some more comments here to read. Joel Hancock says, I attended ECU and Penn State. I take my kids to games of both. I keep telling them Dowdy can rival any home environment. My 2 oldest, 12 and 14 years old, went tarps off. They finally get it. Another reason why Saturday was so emotional for so many people. Johnny Stat says Memphis was 42 of 43 in the red zone with 35 touchdowns and 7 field goals, which is a 6.2 points per red zone appearance average. In their final 2 red zone possessions, the Tigers were 1 of 2 for 3 total points. Winter team's going to stop trying to line up and run the ball right at ECU on 4th and short. I mean, how many times does ECU stuff? Like, if we could do a cut up of every 4th and 1 or less ECU has had this year defensively, I feel like if a team tries to run the football primarily straight ahead, and I guess like obviously your easiest way to get 1 yard is to go from point A to point B, but like ECU is ready for that. I mean, I'm just saying, if I was an opposing team, not trying to give other team ideas, I think I would try to do something else.
Yeah, I mean, right now the only team I think that might worry is if you got Jalen Hurts lining up on the other side.
The tush push.
Yeah, so or Mark Andrews, if you saw his tush push yesterday, where he spun out of it and then went for 34 yards and a touchdown. So, it just once again credit to the depth of this line, credit to Coach Tash. Credit to Coach Aldridge. That's tough, man. I'm not into this whole analytics stuff that they do now. However, the analytics always are go for it on 4th and 1, and there is a reason behind it because it uses statistics, and the statistics say 4th and 1 you're going to get it more times than not, and East Carolina's defense is the exception. They are not the statistic, and that's a special place to be. And what that can do for your team, for a game, for your season, when you can go out there and get a stop like that, says so much about the young men in that D-line room.
Colin Moore says none of that. Keep running it up the gut on 4th and 1. I agree with Colin. Just wanted to make that observation. Johnny Robertson, Johnny Stats with more for us. He says London Montgomery had 27 carries, which was the most by a Pirate since Keaton's 29, also against Memphis in 2022. He has now scored a touchdown in 4 consecutive games. The Pirates are 5-0 when London Montgomery scores a touchdown. So feed London the rock. He was running hard Saturday. Not many big chunk runs, but a consistently 3 to 5, 5 to 6 yard runs, just hard, tough running for London. And just he continues to develop, as Philip said earlier. This running game continues to develop. Somebody wants to say we have to be careful with how we allot our NIL money going forward. Jones Bones saying that Yannick Smith need to get him back if possible. Also need to pay Spalding and need to pay the right guys. That's kind of a conversation I would say, Jones, for the latter part of the year. But I agree with you. I do know this. Conversations have already started, specifically with Caden Hauser. Just, hey, we love you. We want you back. And I think those conversations are in a very good starting point. You know, how that develops, we'll see. But ECU will have a bigger revenue share pot next year. And we all know, I think with what Blake Harrell is building, it becomes a much easier sell than if ECU was 3-7 right now. But you can never guarantee anything, but I'll just say that I'm hearing good things on potentially getting your key guys back.
All right, I got a question for you, Steven.
Yes.
A game like that, a drive like that, a throw like that, is going to make people talk. People outside of these walls, outside of this city, talk about Payton Hauser.
Yeah.
Does this cause him to leave? Or does that moment, that game, that throw, that student section, that rush of the field guarantee him staying? Because I think it's going to almost push him to one extreme or the other.
I think that's a great question. I can't get inside the mind of Payton Hauser. You know, it comes down to what is most important to him. I would think if I was Payton Hauser, and again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like I would think he's going into his final year of eligibility. He's going to want to make a decent amount of money. Obviously, he could go to whatever school. If some school from the SEC or whatever wants him to be their starting quarterback, he could make several $1 million probably. That's, for example, I know the USF quarterback, Byron Brown, he's making, I believe, at least $1 million. So, like, I don't know what ECU can or can't pay. I know they can make him a healthy offer that would make him the highest paid player of any sport to play at ECU ever. I think ECU is willing to do that. And then it becomes for Payton, all right, do I need to get just the biggest paycheck I can get, or do I want to get compensated very well, return to ECU, and cement my legacy here? Because the other thing about it is, too, all right, you want to be like Shane Carden, like Holton Ahlers, guys who will forever be remembered here, go into the Hall of Fame. You've got to finish your career at ECU. Like, that's how I see it. I mean, maybe if Payton were to, like, lead ECU to the college football playoff this season and then leave, it has that legacy. But to me, you want to be remembered by Pirate fans, and you want to always be able to come back. You finish your career at ECU. And so he's got to weigh how much does my legacy matter here versus how much does the biggest paycheck. And I think the thing that's helping ECU is you have that moment to sell. You have the trajectory of the program to sell, and you have enough money to make a very good offer. It's not like they're going to be offering him pennies, from what I understand. So I just think he's got to weigh all that. And I've talked to Payton. I know how much he really does love it here and how much he thinks this place is special. So, like, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would put it above 50% that he's back next year just based on my hunch. But I have not talked to Payton about it. I just know ECU is going to do everything they can to keep him. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I tried.
No, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted. Because I know you obviously don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of the mindset. And, you talk about leaving a legacy. Do we want to segue this into a young man who has left a legacy now, I think, in his final
Mike Wright.
year of eligibility, now that he's in a Pirate uniform?
It's just insane, man. Like, yeah, at this point, I can't believe that he's never punted or kicked a ball in his life, and he just punted twice in a Division I football game, which he did say in his press conference today that he told Blake Harrell that he had kicked before.
Yeah, he admitted to lying, and he goes, now that I said this, Blake's going to know I lied to him. So here's the thing. It's one thing to send him out there and have him kick the ball. It's another thing that when you send that young man out there that he hopes they are not coming after him, and he hopes he's going to get to run. And he even said that he has to take a deep breath and tell himself, like, hey, make the right decision here. Look, they had the faith in this young man to actually go out there and not only, hey, let me try and make a play with my legs because I know I'm a freak athlete, but also with all that going on to actually deliver a legit punt and not shank it off the side of his foot. I mean, he mentioned he put the first one inside the 10 and he flipped the field on the second one. Like, the coaching staff has the faith in this guy. He's doing it all. Yes, there's some kid out there doing it all right now at a 1A high school. There's some kid out there doing it in 8-man football. This guy's doing it with an FBS program that still stands a chance to make the college football playoff. It's not supposed to happen.
That's the thing. It's not like ECU's 3-7 and they're just having fun. He holds the game in his hand when he's back there to punt. Like, it could be a disaster if he drops the ball, if he tries to run and gets stopped short. So, like, You know how much trust it takes from Blake Carroll to let him go back there?
And you have a good punter.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got some punter that's been kicking the ball into the stands every time. Like, the people he's going in for in these situations are trusted. The other guy we talked about, when they do let him throw the ball, Payton Hauser, we're talking about getting poached by the SEC. We've put him in a situation to catch the ball. We're talking about how deep this receiver room is. We're putting him at corner. We keep talking about how much better Jordy Lowry and all these guys are getting every week. He's not replacing bums. He's replacing legit starters. We're joking to Preston Carr as to whether or not he's going to take his defensive line reps.
He might do it.
And Preston Carr goes, well, if you give him a couple more cheeseburgers, he probably could.
Oh, man. Somebody said, can he try out for the basketball team?
I mean, he's got the
legitimately.
athleticism.
Let's give it a shot. I'm all for it.
He'll figure it out. When you know one thing he won't do if he goes out there? Turn the ball over or screw something up. If he can't make a play, he'll pass the ball.
This is very true. I do know that he played baseball, I want to say, at a young age.
Yes, he told me he played baseball. I think I remember on Media Day, me talking about him playing baseball.
So does he stick around and try to get a spot on Cliff Godwin's team in the spring? I mean, like, the only thing left for him to really realistically do is to kick an extra point and to maybe snap the ball, which I don't know if those things are going to happen.
Chad Ochocinco kicks an extra point one time. If Chad Ochocinco can do it, I think Mike Wright can do it.
And think about how much, if you're UTSA and you turn on that film, like, how terrifying is it that you've got the most athletic player on the other team as their freaking punter? You know how hard that is to defend?
Yeah. And then the other top part about it, too, is people, the logistical thing or the smart thing is to say you just overload that side and you come after it so that he can't. Well, guess what? If you do that and there's an eligible guy lined up at, like, the tight end position, he's a Division I quarterback. He'll throw the ball to the guy that you have uncovered. This guy started in the SEC.
It's crazy, man. I mean, we could do a whole week show on the Mike Wright experience.
Can we, like I know right now it's like limited player availability, but, man, the second his eligibility's up, can we just have him co-host one day? Can we just come in here and pick his brain?
He's probably going to take both of our jobs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he probably will. Might not be a good idea. Career decision. It'd be fun in the heat of the moment.
It'd be a cool show until we didn't return.
Hank's like, I love you guys, but, Mike's just better. Sorry, you're fired.
All right, let's get our final break in. By the way, I did confirm no field rushing policy in the American, so no fine for ECU.
Good, we need that money for revenue sharing to pay Payton Hauser.
100%. 100%. So there's your clarification there. We'll come back. We'll get our final segment in. Reaction Monday, ECU beats Memphis.
Hurry to Greenville Toyota for model year-end savings on a Camry. Just $229 a month. $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month. $279 a month. Only during our model year-end move-out. Right now at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville, we've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
It's Greenville Toyota's model year-end move-out. Save on a new Corolla, just $149 a month. $149 a month. Or new Tacoma, $249 a month. $249 a month. Now get a move on and save at Greenville Toyota.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment on Hoist the Colors Reaction Monday. We've got another potential donation for the Caton Hauser Return Fund. Ryan Benner says, me and my daughter met Hauser at Media Day. She's willing to give her piggy bank to keep him a Pirate. So
there you go.
Hey, if you're handing over piggy banks, you mean quite a bit to that person. So that would be awesome. And obviously 2 more games at least in the regular season for Hauser to play before we get even more clarification on that. But we'll see. Robert brings up a good point. We're talking about the Mike Wright situation. I think he was just messing with Memphis here. But you remember when he caught that kickoff in the end zone, he faked like he was going to throw. He was in the back of the end zone. And I think this was also like when the game was on the line. He was in the back of the end zone. He like faked like he was about to lateral it across the field, and then he just took a knee. I don't know if they mentioned that on the broadcast.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I mean,
okay.
I mean, I don't know.
I feel like he's just. I mean, that's the thing. He's out there having a good time, but like that's kind of also something to put on tape. Like, oh God, we got to prepare for that too. I mean, if you're the opposing team, so crazy, man. I mean, I would say a storybook, but I don't even think I could write some of this stuff with Mike Wright. Somebody did want to know how we feel about UTSA early on. We'll get into this a lot more during the week. Pirates, I think anywhere from like 3 to 4.5 point favorite. I think it's look. This is always a tough spot after an emotional win, but I'd be more worried honestly if this was the FAU game than the UTSA game, and the reason is all you have to do if you're Blake Carroll is show the UTSA Tulane tape, show the record of UTSA in conference home games. Like that will get their attention quickly. And if ECU has an emotional letdown, goes on the road, which I don't think will happen, they'll get their tails kicked. UTSA has legitimate talent. They have one of the best trigger men in the American in Owen McCown. They are very comfortable at home. I don't know what they do there. I'm sure if I insinuated they cheat, then Jeff Traylor would use it against us as motivational talk like he did with John Summerall. But either way, they are dang good in the Dome. ECU is going to have to play a very good football game to win. So your early thoughts on the week ahead, Philip?
Yeah, it's more of a tougher game than FAU, but to your point, it's less jump up and bite you. And I think, you brought it up to a couple different guys, I think, in the press conference today. Does it make it easier to flip that page after such a big win? And I think it does. Because now you go in, even if you're favorites, you kind of view yourself as a little bit of an underdog because they've never lost a home conference game in the Jeff Traylor era. And you're a conference opponent. And so I think it goes into that we have a chance to go make another statement, whereas, again, like to your point, if you're playing a team who you're going to be the heavy favorite, you're going to walk into this environment where there's not a lot of fans. Oh, well, let's keep celebrating the Memphis win a little bit. They know they can't do that. So, yes, I think it's a huge benefit to have UTSA next, especially at UTSA.
Justice says he still thinks they cheat. If they do cheat, you at least have a guy on staff who was at UTSA under Jeff Traylor. Matt Maddox, ECU's offensive line coach. He was there from 2020 through 2022. So, look, ECU played there in 23 under a different offensive staff. Obviously, Blake and some of the players were on that team. But you do have some familiarity with Matt Maddox, who was under the Roadrunners regime for 3 years. So he should at least be able to give some insight on what to expect from the Alamo Dome and what to anticipate there. So we'll see how it plays out. Big game. We'll get into all of the scenarios, the American Conference, the college football playoff, all that throughout the week. Again, Case and Romali will join us tomorrow, and I just got a text. We may know who started Tarps Off.
Uh-oh.
I may be able to get them on the show. I have to respond after the show, but we'll see if we can do that. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you missed any of the show, check out the podcast version on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Shout out to Philip for doing his thing behind the scenes, as always. Keep it locked on 94.3 throughout the week. Hoist the Colors as well. Should be a fun week of programming. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon.